How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? And this is my blog for today. I'm very, very excited right now because Barack Obama just made a speech. The President of the United States came with a great, gigantic compromise so that he could win over the Republicans and all those who disagree with his health care policies until now, which have been tanking in the ratings, and it proves that almost all of the country is against it. And as they were more and more against it, he kept propelling it and fighting for it, and it never stopped him from pushing it, because he kept saying that's what the American people want, and there was no sign that they wanted it. Every time he said what they wanted, his popularity went down because they didn't want it. But he never read the paper, and he never found out that they didn't want it, because information is not his business. He has his crusade, he has his determination to accomplish whatever he pleases, and he never notices public opinion. When somehow when he was running for office, he changed his position every day to adapt himself to what the public wants. But once he got the job, he says, I got the job. I don't need you now. I don't care if you like it or not. And I don't even have to find out about it, because everybody who could read a paper knows that everybody's against this health care plan. And it never gets more than 1/3 of the people in favor of it. But somehow he never notices it, and he tells them that he has to lead them. He just said that today again. The American people want leadership. If they want leadership in the direction of the things they want. They don't want leadership that's exactly the opposite of what they want. That's not called leadership. That's called hate. That's called misery. That's called a disagreement with the people. He's not leading them, he's fighting them. He's disagreeing with them and he's going against them. That's not leadership. That's called dictatorship. And if he passes it, it's even a complete dictatorship. Because only in a dictatorship does the head of a country not care, not know, and pretends he never heard of what the people want. And as if they find out about it, it doesn't count. He keeps telling the Republicans, I want to hear your ideas. So he created a big meeting, and they all sat down around a table and they started to read the ideas. The idea came from the bill. That's what they were reading from. What else the idea come from? It comes from his sister-in-law. It comes from somebody painting a house. It comes from the plan. The plan is in the book, 2,500 pages, because he probably never read it. He was disturbed that the Republicans actually read from the actual bill. And you know what he said? What are you using props for? Props? I thought this was the bill that he wants passed. If you want it passed, it's holy. If the Republicans mention it, it becomes a prop. Why does it become a prop? Because it's proof. It's proof that what he's saying is exactly the opposite of what's in the bill. And it proves that what's in the bill is worthless. It's nonsense, nobody wants it, and he doesn't want to hear it. So his own bill becomes a prop. If somebody else called it a prop, it would be considered the worst insult in the world. You call my bill a prop? But as soon as it's worked to prove a point, and it shows how phony and ridiculous the whole bill is, it becomes a prop. Then he says to them, listen, don't use talking points. Don't use talking points? What are you supposed to use? Every time they talked, he called it a talking point. Why? Because it made sense of talking about it. So if you're making a point, don't make a point too good, because if it's too good and it makes a point, it's a talking point. So today he told you, don't use props, don't use talking points, but he made a speech today with the biggest prop of all time. 300 people with uniforms they call doctors. So you don't know if they're doctors or not, but everybody came with a white jacket, and everybody is standing around with a white jacket. He doesn't use props. The bill itself that he wants passed is called a prop. But when you use a prop, it's not a prop. What were these doctors doing there as a whole audience with the white uniforms standing there? Was somebody needed an operation? Was somebody dying? Was somebody passing away? Why did he need that many doctors? And why did he make sure that the doctors have white jackets so he should remind them that they're doctors? And who needed doctors there if you're trying to make a point? This is the ultimate prop. You know why? Because you've got no point. If you had a point, you wouldn't need pictures, you wouldn't need props, and you wouldn't have to make fake accusations and call everything that's opposed to you a talking point. Everything that makes sense is a talking point. Everything that you're making up and is exactly the opposite of what people want becomes the great crusade. A crusade exactly to destroy everything the American people want. If you love the American people, don't lead them in a direction they don't want to go. That's not called a representative government. That's called a dictatorship. Is that what you're trying to be? If you're not, forget this healthcare program and listen to the people.